Hi guys, so this video is a continuation from the previous video, which was an analysis of the top 6 teams. So now I'm going to focus on the next 7 teams, or the so-called mid-table teams from last season in terms of position. So the first one is Southampton, and in terms of what they've done, changes in the team, well, they were supposed to get Alderweireld, but that never materialised. They've got Cedric and Martina, and they've also got Classy, who we should know from the World Cup with Holland, and otherwise, okay, they've done a few other things, but mainly the same team. And in terms of players that I would promote from Southampton, in terms of keepers, there is a potential that Kevin Davis will play instead of Stecklenburg at the start of the season, but I do suspect that Fraser Forster will be back and raring to go. In terms of his injury, it's obviously an unknown return date, so this might be something worth considering if you want to go for a cheaper alternative in terms of keeper. In terms of defense, now Bertrand and Klein were the so-called players before. Obviously, Klein's gone to Liverpool, and Bertrand I think he's got an injury problem. So, in terms of players I'll promote, Yoshida possibly for the value, might be a first-team starter. Corker's in the squad, but I'm not so optimistic about his chances of being a first-team footballer after a move from QPR. I mean, he's one of the reasons as to why QPR got relegated. So, yeah, but obviously Font is a good option. And he does have an offensive threat, but he didn't do that well in terms of offensively last season. He got most of his points defensively. But I still think the structure that Cuban has, he will make sure that Southampton do not concede a lot of goals. In terms of them surpassing the clean sheet record last season, I don't think that's going to happen. In terms of midfield, Classy is maybe someone worth considering, but he is a gamble. 5.5 is not bad, but definitely the ones that I would personally go for is Tadic and Mane, especially Mane. Mane has shown himself to get goals. It doesn't matter how good of a bad player you think he is. He did score the quickest hat trick ever, so he's definitely worth considering. In terms of value, now I've seen a lot of people getting Wanyama because of his value, but he's mainly a defensive midfielder, so I would pretty much stay away from him. Also with Ward-Prowse, got a great free kick in him. I think he's someone who's emerging as a great talent from Southampton, so he might be one you might want to consider as well. But the main one that I promote, Ward-Prowse, Tadic, but definitely Mane. And in strike, Rodriguez is back, but I still think let's not forget any top player gets injured for a long time. Like we saw with Walcott, it took him a lot of time actually. Wenger's taken a lot of time to kind of get him back into the first team and start playing regularly. Same thing, I don't think Rodriguez will be rushed. I think Perla's the one to maybe consider for your team. Long possibly, but Long sometimes can play on the wing and he can get goals as well, and he's a good footballer as well. But Perla's probably the one that I would say he's the main focal point. Play the one strike on top most of the time in Southampton formation under Cuban, so he's the one I promote. Now, next team is Swansea, and Swansea have been fairly busy, but they've actually not spent a lot. I think they spent under less than £10 million, and they've done most of the transfers quite early on in the season. They bought Andre Ayew from Marseille, and in terms of everything else, they bought either the Portuguese guy. He's actually quite similar in build to Gomez, and you can see how you kind of want to get players almost similarish to Boney and Gomez, players with a kind of presence, up top. And in terms of positions, Tabano, they brought some players in. In terms of the ones that I'll promote, Fabianski, I think he got one of the highest scores last year in goalkeeping wise in Fantasy Premier League. So there's no doubt he's definitely worth considering. Along with the defense, Williams, he is definitely one to consider actually, because of the fact that he does pose a threat defensively in the sense of getting bonuses when it comes to points. I think last season, whenever Swansea did keep a clean sheet, did accumulate quite good bonuses. Actually, he got 15 bonus points last season, on his record, which is pretty high. I mean, if you compare it with any Swansea defender, it's definitely the highest. Fernandez is obviously one other player worth considering. I see Bartley on the bench. So yeah, Fernandez, Williams, Norton possibly, but his value has gone up from last season. I think last season he started quite low, almost near to £4 million. And there is Taylor. So yeah, I mean the ones that I would recommend if you're gonna go in is Williams, Fernandez, and maybe even Norton. In terms of midfield, there's a lot of players to consider, but I would say Siggy is a great option because of the fact that he has shown to get goals in the position for Swansea and set pieces. Ki Young obviously he's somewhat of a pure central midfielder, so I would personally go for someone like Siggy. But otherwise, there are options available in Ki Young, Shelvey, Montero. Cork will most likely be a first team footballer. They've also got Andrew Ayew, who I think will slowly be groomed into the first team. But Siggy is the main star player I would probably suggest to get. And lastly in strike, yeah, Gomez is probably the main striker for them. So he's definitely worth considering. And he did do quite well near the end of the season. And let's not forget the lost Boney. Some teams might have capitulated quite badly, but Swansea still kept their position uh, you know quite constant throughout the season and finished I think a club record club record point tally. So yeah, Stoke now is the next team, and obviously with thing gone, Begovic, they've got given in, and but Butland will be the first team keeper, and he is something worth considering for 4.5 for sure. In terms of defence, now Cameron has shown to get a few points here and there, but they've also got in Johnson, and he might be worth a shout out as well. But at £5 million, he's joint most expensive defender for Stoke. But in terms of offensive potential, Johnson does offer that. When he was at Portsmouth, etc., he did get points offensively, so he's someone worth considering. Otherwise, that's pretty much my suggestions when it comes to Stoke. When it comes to midfield, they've got Afalai, free transfer from Barcelona. They've got Van Ginkel on loan. In terms of players I recommend, obviously, if Waters is firing, he's a good player to get for £6 million, no doubt. He does get goals consistently throughout the season, and most of the time does take the penalties as well. So he's worth considering. Adam, I don't see him being a consistent first team player due to fitness reasons. I don't think he's a fit enough player, so probably want to stay away from him. And otherwise, those are the only players that I'd probably recommend, mainly Waters. Anatovic might be worth a shout as well, but even last season, he didn't play that well and didn't play that many games. So I'll probably stick with Waters. Hafala is an emerging talent, so we can see with that. And when it comes to strikers, again, I don't think Crouch is first in football. It's mainly Juve, and Bojan's back. So I actually think Bojan's worth considering on a 5.5. He was doing quite well last season until his injury, and he was definitely doing very well in the Stoke system. Mark Hughes is good and playing some very good football in the Premier League. People might have thought some player of his size might not do that well, but he did well, and definitely worth considering. So yeah. Now next team, Crystal Palace, and Alan Pardew definitely did kind of change Palace in a good way, I think, and they've done the main business, but they've obviously brought in Kabaya, who's club record and great signing. They bought Wickham as well for £9 million. In terms of players that I'll promote, in terms of goalies, now Speroni's injured and come back in 29th August. I mean, if you want to buy a very short-term keeper, if you're going to buy a cheap keeper anyways, around £4 million, you might as well buy Hennessy because he might play some of the first few games of the week, first few game weeks. So if some of you guys are playing that kind of system of one main keeper and one just very low, then you rather get a keeper who has some chance of playing some games. In terms of defence of Crystal Palace, obviously Dan is an option. He does have that offensive output along with Ward and Kelly. And then you have the other central midfielding positions between Hangerland, Delaney, Mariappa, mainly Hangerland, but that will vary. In terms of what I'll promote, I'll probably go for Dan or Ward as the ones I'll promote from Crystal Palace's defence. Palace's defence it's okay. I mean, some teams' defence, it's just, when you purchase defenders from them, you have to think really are they in a good form? Is the team performing really well? Then I think it's worth stockpiling in a way, or maybe considering their defenders. Otherwise, Sometimes you just have to go on the flow of how a team's performing and act appropriately. So that's what I would mention in regards to them. Similarly, in midfield, I see the main midfield, combination from last season staying nearly the same, except that Kabay is added to it. And I think Kabay is someone great because he's shown at Newcastle he can take set pieces, can score goals, so he's definitely one that I'll promote. But Lassie when fit, Punch and definitely when fit, he can take great free kicks. Zaha, he for 5.5, he is definitely worth consideration, and that's it. Those are the players that I would consider. But the funny thing is, you've got 4 players here I'm promoting from the same midfield, so you don't know which one exactly to pick. But I'll personally pick Kabay. But so yeah, and in strike, well, they've also got quite a few options. They've also got Bamford on loan from Chelsea. They've got Wickham. Murray, he was doing very well last season near the end, but I don't think he will be that first team player by by the end of it. Really, I think Wickham is someone that Alan Pardew seriously believes in. If he's going to get him for £9 million, Sunderland actually made a profit on the guy. So Wickham didn't have a great goal record last season. In fact, I think he scored just 5 goals. When you consider how many games he played and everything, that's quite a disappointing outcome. Result for a striker. Probably expect more goals from him, but he's seen enough to get him, and I think that will be kind of reciprocated by him being that first team striker. Murray will be involved. Gale, Chamak, even Fraser Campbell. Fraser Campbell at the moment's got a knock, but I think if you're going to go for a striker, then Wickham's worth considering. But like I mentioned before in my strategy video, I like to get players that are high end when it comes to midfield and strike, and you don't need to feel necessary that you have to actually get a player from a striker in the teams that I'm mentioning right now in this video. But if you're going to, these are players you might want to consider if they fit in your price bracket. So around 6 million, Wickham is definitely worth considering. Next team now is Everton. And Everton, they've actually done the least business this transfer window, and that's probably because they didn't do that well last season in the Premier League. They've also got Delafeu back, who I think is a good signing because Delafeu did very well for the first season on loan. And in terms of the players I recommend, Howard for 5 is quite high, but obviously he's the first team keeper. In terms of defence, obviously one of my favourite players on fantasy is Baines because of the fact that he takes penalties, free kicks, corners sometimes. He's a great player to have. And he's a risk, but sometimes it can pay off for 6.5. We've got Coleman valued at 6, is a bit less, but Coleman equally can get goals, minus the set pieces, and Jagielka as well. So those are the 3 defenders I'd go for, depending on your value, in terms of if you want to get Jagielka for 5.5, Coleman for 6, or Bain 6.5, depends on how much you're willing to invest. But also, think of it as the more money you invest, it's also the higher risk in a way as well, because the amount of return you could get from Baines will most likely outweigh the returns from Jagielka. But obviously if Jagielka scores from a set piece, there's also a great chance if he gives a clean sheet he will be accumulating that free bonus. In terms of midfield, obviously with Delafeu being in, it's got a bit of a knock along with Morales, but I think these 2 players are the ones that I'd recommend: Morales, Delafeu, and Barkley. Otherwise I see Cleverley, Barry, McCarthy. These players are naturally very defensive, so very central. So I see Morales, Barkley, and Delafeu being the ones. Depending who's fit at the start of the season, the player that I would go for is Morales, but depending on injuries and situations, then Barkley and Delafeu are probably players worth considering. And in strike, Lukaku, I think, didn't have the season he wanted last season, so I think he's raring to go. So he's the one I think he's worth considering for £8 million. I think his price has dropped. Yeah, he has dropped from last season because I think he was near 8.59, so he has dropped down. Naismith is worth considering, but I still think if you're going to go for a main striker, it's Lukaku. Now, next team is West Ham. West Ham, yep, Adrian, main keeper for sure. They've obviously bought in Agbona from Juventus, and they've done the business also quite early on, West Ham. And in terms of first team footballers, Cresswell is probably the one that I would definitely say is worth considering. Takes free kicks, quite offensive, but 5.5 being the most expensive West Ham defender, that probably shows why. But he's probably the one I'll consider. Tompkins as well, because I think he's got quite a few goals already for West Ham in the UEFA Cup qualifying stages. So he's also one worth considering as well. When it comes to midfield, they've obviously got Dimitri Payet, and I think, having seen him from his previous days at St Etienne as well, I think he's a good player to consider. But he's a gamble, there's no doubt. So yeah, I would say in terms of midfield, when it comes to West Ham, Payet is definitely a player worth considering. But even though you might think 7.5 is still less, so it doesn't really matter, it does, because you see players I think like Caballo worth like 6.5. So it all counts. Payet, whether he'll be taking set pieces or not, that's not fully confirmed yet, because in friendly games, we've seen Noble, for example, take penalties. So it's not fully clear, but he's a player worth considering. And I wouldn't really go for Noble, even though he does take penalties, just because of his general gameplay. He's not that involved in the offensive side of the game. Lastly, in strike, we've seen Sacco get goals, and with Valencia injury and Carroll injury, I think he is their main striker. Zarate somewhat can be involved, and he did score in that 2-2 game at home for West Ham, but Sacco's probably the main one. And lastly, West Brom. And West Brom, Forster saw injured from last season, and obviously they've got Gamboa in, they've got McManaman and McLean from Wigan, and they've obviously bought Lambert now for £2 million from Liverpool. In terms of keepers, Michael's a good cheap option, but he's not as cheap as last season. He went from 4 to 4.5. In terms of defence, Lescott didn't really do that much offence from last season. I think it was more Dawson and McCowdy. So those are two players if you want to get someone from West Brom's defence. Those are the two ones that I would probably promote. Olsen as well, if he does play, but this last season played much less minutes, so it's out of those two. In terms of midfield, I think Brunt is the one worth considering, actually, because of his set pieces potential. Sessegnon, I think he was a great player with Sunderland as well, has a potential of scoring goals, but at the end it boils down to, is he going to be that first team footballer, and that's not guaranteed. So, and the wing, McManaman, McLean, again, yes, they're very good players, but they have not really hit the level in terms of scoring goals and that tally, increasing your stats. They're not really backed it up. So Brunt for me is probably the one that I would promote. And in strike, there's no doubt Berahino is the one. Takes penalties as well. So for 6.5 is a very good option. So yeah, this is my video on the so-called mid-table 7 teams. And thanks for watching my video. And don't forget to join the league. I've released a video with a code. So yeah, thanks for watching.